Good day, grade 10 learners. Welcome to our mathematics lesson. I am Skulile Ngube, and this lesson is proudly brought to you by the Gauteng Department of Education. Grade 10s, are you ready for the lesson? Let's be ready, grade 10s. Please make sure you are circled. Sit down and make sure you have your workbook with you. You have your pen, you have your pencil and calculator, and let's start learning. Okay? Please, let's communicate during the lesson. Let's engage each other. And you can even send us your work. You can send us your input. You can send us your questions. We want this lesson to be very, very effective. Okay? What are we learning today, grade 10s? We are learning about simplifying algebraic fractions. Nothing complicated about this. We know our numeric fractions, isn't it? Like 1 over 4 plus 1 over 3. So it's just the same thing. How do we multiply fractions? How do we add fractions? But today we're going to apply our knowledge about factorization. Do you remember factorization? So when you get into this lesson, I want you to remember the factorizations that we have done. We've done the highest common factor, factorizing using the highest common factor. We did the factorization of the quadratic trinomial. We did the factorization using the difference of two squares by grouping in pairs, and also difference and sum of two cubes. You have to remember all those, okay? Right. Let's start our lesson. At the end of the lesson, you should be able to simplify algebraic fractions using factorization. You see that? So we're going to be using all those factorizations which I mentioned. But some of them, I will remind you, especially the difference of two squares and the difference in sum of two cubes. I'll remind you about those before you apply them. And then we focus on division and multiplication of fractions. And then we're going to simplify algebraic fractions using factorization with focus on addition and subtraction. So we're going to look at multiplication and division of fractions using factorization, and then also addition and subtraction of fractions using factorization. Okay? We'll start with multiplication and division because I think these operations are easy to do, easier than addition and subtraction when it comes to fractions. It's very easy to multiply and divide fractions. Do you know that? Just numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. It's very easy. And then after that, we'll do addition and subtraction. Okay? Right, pre-knowledge, we've done our algebraic expressions and factorization in grade 8 and 9, and in grade 10, we also did factorization. Do you remember? Even in our online lessons here, we did that. We did factorizations. So we're going to use our knowledge about this in this lesson. Right, I want you to try these 4 questions. This is how we're going to do it. We're going to do A and B in 4 minutes. Okay, and then after doing A and B, we'll mark A and B, and then I'll give you 2 minutes for C after that and 2 minutes for D. Let's start by doing A and B for 4 minutes. Let's try. Right, welcome back, grade 10s. If you managed to answer A and B, let's mark our work. Let's mark our work. Now, A and B there, we have the numerator and the denominator. We have the highest common factor there. Let's look at the numbers, the coefficients there, the numerical coefficients. We have 3 and 15. What is the highest common factor between 3 and 15? Is 3, isn't it? And then let's look at the powers. With the base x, we take the power with the lowest exponent. With base x, the lowest exponent is x squared. So, or the lower exponent, because here we're comparing two things. And then with the base y, it will be y cubed. You see that? So it means 3x squared y cubed is the highest common factor for the numerator and the denominator. So we factor it out. Okay, we factor it out like this. We factor it out, and then what we remain with here, we remain with x. If you divide 3x cubed y cubed divided by the highest common factor, which is 3x squared y cubed, what do you get? You say y cubed divided by y cubed is 1. Then 3 divided by 3 is 1. Then x cubed divided by x squared. You can even say 3 minus 2, there, the exponent. Remember, when you divide powers with the same base, you subtract the exponent. You say x to the power 3 minus 2, which is x to the power 1, which is x. So that's why you remain with x here. And then if you divide the denominator, 15x squared y cubed, divided by our highest common factor, this one, divided by 3x squared y cubed. Y cubed divided by y cubed, we get 1. X squared divided by x squared, we get 1. Then 3 into 15 is 5. That's why we have this 5 there. Okay? Right. So then here, the highest common factor, 3x squared y cubed divided by 3x squared y cubed is 1. So we remain with x over 5. Okay? Right. Sometimes you don't even need to do the highest common factor thing. You can do it here like this. Say 3 into 3, 1. 3 into 15, 5. You see that? Okay? Y cubed divided by y cubed is 1. And then x cubed divided by x squared, you get x. So there are 2 x's here, there are 3 x's here. So we cancel 2, we remain with 1. We remain with x there. So you get your x over 5. Do you see that? Okay, please mark your work. And then let's go to B. What do we do? I said you have to remember the 4 factorizations. Okay, highest common factor, factorization of the quadratic trinomial, the difference of 2 squares by grouping in pairs, the difference in sum of 2 cubes. You have to remember. Do we have there an expression, should I say an expression, the numerator or denominator with the highest common factor? Let's look at the numerator. 2 minus 6x. Do we have the highest common factor there? Yes, it is there. 2 is the highest common factor. Do you see that? So 2, and then in the bracket, what are we going to have? We're going to have 1 and then minus 3x. You see that? If you factor out 2 here, you'll get 2 outside, and then inside the bracket, 1 minus 3x. You remember we did factorization? Yes, this is how we factorize. So we get this. See that? We get this. And then now, the bracket here, 1 minus 3x divided by 1 minus 3x is 1. So we remain with 2 over 1, which is 2. Mark your work there. Did you get that? Okay, please send us your questions to the WhatsApp line. It's a different one. Is 063. For this particular lesson, please use this line 063 629 3655. 063 629 3655. Use this line for this lesson. Okay, and then we're done. We're doing C now. Let's go to C. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to try C. Let's do it. Welcome back, cretins. Is it difficult? Remember, cretins, how we add even numerical fractions. You remember? Let's say we have, let me think of a fraction, right? We have 1 over 5 plus 3 over 5. How do we add a fractions like that? Do you see that the denominators are the same? So if the denominators are the same like that, we just add the numerators. Do you see? So it becomes 1 plus 3 over 5. Okay? Which is equal to 4 over 5. Do you see that? So that's why when you're adding fractions, we make sure that the denominators are the same and you're using the lowest common denominator. So if you check here, we have the same denominator. Do you see? Which is x plus 2. So what do we do? X over x plus 2 plus 3x over x plus 2 is equal to, we add the numerators, x plus 3x over x plus 2. You see that? And then what is x plus 3x? These are like terms. These are like terms. So we can add like terms. We can simplify like terms. So 3x, this is like 1x. 1x plus 3x is 4x over x plus 2. You see that? So this is what you're supposed to do there. And then we have our answer there. Okay? Right, let's do the last one. D under baseline activity. And then let's try it for 2 minutes. Welcome back, cretins. What do we do here, cretins? The denominators are not the same now. They're not the same. The denominator for the other one is x, and then the other one is y. So we have to find the lowest common denominator. Okay? So the lowest common denominator will be xy. So how can we make this denominator to be xy? How can we make this denominator to be xy here? This denominator here and this denominator here. Okay? So the first one, 1 over x, we have to multiply. But remember equivalent fractions. What you do to the denominator, you do to the numerator. If I multiply the denominator by 2, I must multiply the numerator by 2. So if I multiply the denominator by y, I must also multiply the numerator by y. That's equivalent fractions, like 1 over 2, 2 over 4, 3 over 6, like that. Right, and then plus, then I want the denominator to be xy, so I must multiply the denominator by x, then I must multiply the numerator by x. So it becomes 2y, and then times x, okay? And then Once we do that, what we get? We get this. Now, the denominators are what? The denominators are the same now. So we can add the numerators. So it becomes y plus 2x over the common denominator, which is xy. But now, y plus 2x, these are unlike terms. They are unlike terms, so we can't simplify them. So we leave our answer as it is. So it is y plus 2x over xy. Okay? Right. Now, this is our first example. Multiplication and division of fractions, algebraic fractions. Remember, we're going to do multiplication and division, and then thereafter we're going to do addition and subtraction. Remember, we are using what? Factorizations. Then we call them factorizations. Highest common factor, difference of two squares, quadratic trinomial, grouping in pairs, difference in sum of two cubes. Right. Here we have the highest common factor. We did something similar to this, so let me not waste time on this one. So the highest common factor here will be 4xy. 4, between 4 and 16, the highest common factor there is 4. Then the powers with base x, the one with the lower exponent is x. And then base y, the one with the lower exponent is y. So it becomes 4xy. That's the lowest common denominator. And then we factor it out. We get what? X over 4y squared. Did I move fast there? Okay, let's do it the shorter way. So we say 4 into 4, 1, 4 into 16, 4. See that? And then we have 1x here, so it goes, and then divides 1x here, will remain with the 1x, because there are 2 x's here. X squared means there are 2 of them. So we cancel 1x, then we remain with 1x. And then y there, and then we cancel 1y here, we remain with y squared. You see that? So it becomes x over 4y squared, which is this. Okay? Right. And then let's move on. Please send us your input. Please tell us if you're moving fast, if you're fine. 063, that's the line for this particular lesson. 063 629 3655. Okay? Right. I want us to remember this. Some of them we've discussed this. We say that when you're adding fractions with the same denominator, or if you're subtracting fractions with the same denominator, just add the numerators or subtract the numerators. So in this case, we're adding them. So just add the numerators over the common denominator. And then multiplying fractions is very, very easy. You just say numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. When I'm multiplying fractions, just say numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. Like here, x times y, xy. M times m, m squared. So multiplication, we are multiplying the denominators. We don't use the common denominator. Multiply the denominator. And then, what do you call this one? Division. Division, we say we tip and tie. Okay? But now, which one do you invert? The one which is divided. I'm dividing a over b by 6 over d. So it means we are inverting this one. Don't invert ab. You're inverting the divisor. Remember, there's dividend, divisor, and quotient. The answer is the quotient. So now you invert this one, the one you're dividing with. So it becomes d over c. You see that? D over c times d over c. You tip and times. Tip, invert, and times. Change these 2 times. This is how we divide fractions. Please remember that. Remember that. Okay? Right. And then, this is an example. I will do the example. We'll do this together, and then after that, I'll give you an activity. Okay? Right. Do you remember how we factorize a quadratic trinomial? So let's look at the numerator here. It's a quadratic trinomial. So we look for the factors of negative 10. We look for the factors of negative 10. That will give us negative 3 when we what? When we add them. So the factors of negative 10 will be negative 10, that can give us negative 3. Negative 10 means that the factors, you are multiplying two things and getting negative. So it means one factor is negative, the other factor is positive. And then this negative 3 gives us the clue that the bigger factor is the one which is negative. So which factors could those ones be? Could be negative 5 and positive 2. Okay? 1 and 10 cannot give us a 3. 2 and 5. If 5 is negative and 2 is positive, you say negative 5 times 2, we get negative 10. Negative 5 plus 2, we get negative 3. So these are the factors we're looking for. Then we just create our two brackets. We have factorized the quadratic trinomial. And then what we get? We get x minus 5 and x plus 2. It's easy to factorize when the coefficient of x squared is 1. You just create your two brackets, put your factors, done. Like our factors here was negative 5 and positive 2. So it becomes x minus 5, x plus 2. You're done. And then x plus 2 divided by x plus 2. We are getting 1. Okay, getting 1. And then what we get? X minus 5 divided by 3. That's our final answer. Hope you can see this. X minus 5 divided by 3 then. Okay? Right, do you think you can try the next one? Similar to this. Okay, let's try. And then I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Let's try. Welcome back, Cretans. Thanks very much for your input. Mahalisbek State School, thank you very much. I'll try to slow down. And then if you have questions for a specific, maybe you want me to explain a specific questions, please give me that question so that I can go back and re-explain. Okay? Thank you very much. Right, now, what did we do here? Or what did you do? We have to factorize the quadratic trinomial, which is x squared plus x minus 12. And then we have to look for the factors of negative 12 that will give us what? Positive 1. The factors of negative 12 that can give us positive 1. Let's look at the factors of negative 12. It can be 1 and 12. This one cannot give us a negative positive 1 or a negative 1. 2 and 6, no, cannot give us 1. 3 and 4, we can get a 1 here. Okay, so negative 12 means that one factor is negative and the other factor is positive. And then positive 1 shows us that the bigger factor is positive. So it means it should be negative 3 and positive 4. Let's just check. Positive 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, isn't it? And then 4 minus 3 is 1. So these are the factors we're looking for. So it should be x minus 3, x plus 4. Okay? Right. And then so we have factorized there. We put those factors. And then, but check again. Let's check our denominator. It is 12 minus 4x. This one is a lot of concepts that we have to use. There is the highest common factor here, which is what? Which is 4. We factor out 4. Then 12 divided by 4, what is it? 3. And then 4x, negative 4x divided by 4 is negative x. And then we get those. And then what we have? We have this. You see, the numerator is these factors. Then the denominator is this one. Is x minus 3 equal to 3 minus x? We discussed this in our previous lessons. X minus 3 and 3 minus x, what do we do? They are not the same. So what we do, we factor out the negative 1. We factor out negative 1. So 3 minus x, yeah, maybe you cannot see. Let me just try. Let me clear the thing. Let me clear the ink, and then we start afresh. Right, we are here now. So we have 3 minus x. We want to make this one become x minus 3 so that we can have same bracket, x minus 3. So what do we do? Remember what we do. We factor out negative 1. If you factor out negative 1, then we will get, let me do this first. If we factor out negative 1, we say 3 divided by negative 1, we get negative 3. We say negative x divided by negative 1, we get positive x. And then if I rearrange the things inside the bracket here, you see I'm getting x minus 3. You see? So if you factor out negative 1, then we are getting this bracket here. Let's do this. Let's replace this bracket 3 minus x with negative x minus 3. So this negative 1 is going to affect the 4. It becomes negative 4x minus 3. Is that clear? Okay, so we have this. See that? So now we have negative 4x minus 3. Why is it negative 4 now? Because of this. Oh, let me clear this. If I clear it, then everything is going to disappear. Let me finish, then I'll clear it. Like, because of this negative here, that's why we have negative 4 there. You see that? Now it's x minus 3 inside the bracket instead of 3 minus x. Okay? Right. So we have our bracket there. And then now we can say x minus 3 divided by x minus 3. What do we get? We get x plus 4 divided by negative 4. Or you can even write it like this. Negative x plus 4 over 4. Still 5. Okay? Right. And then let me give you 1 minute maybe to just catch up and write notes if you can. 1 minute. Right, welcome back, grade 10s. Before we move any further, there is a question from, or input. It's not a question as such, input from Cephas Newer Secondary School. Thank you very much for that input. You didn't get the part of factorizing x squared minus 3x minus 10, isn't it? Okay, let's just go back there. We'll just discuss the factorization of this part, then we move on. Okay, I really hope I got your question correctly. Right, so what you do here, we're looking for the factors of negative 10. That will give us negative 3, isn't it? Right, let's look at the factors of 10. Factors of 10. That can, you say, you can have 1 and 10. If you say 1 times 10, you get 10, isn't it? But if you check, this combination cannot give us a 3. Cannot give us a 3. Right, what about 2 and 5? 2 and 5 somehow can give us a 3. So now, negative 10 means that one factor is negative, and then the other factor is positive. Remember, these factors were multiplying them. And then if you multiply a positive and a negative, you get a negative. So since it is negative 10 here, it means one factor is negative, and then the other factor is positive. It's just giving you a clue. And then this one here, negative 3 here, it gives you this negative for negative 3. It gives you a clue again that the bigger factor is the one which is negative. That means we have two factors here, 2 and 5. That means the 5, which is the bigger factor, is the one which is negative. Then it's negative 5 and positive 2. You see that? Let's check. What is negative 5 times 2? It is negative 10. What is negative 5 plus 2? It is negative 3. So these are the factors we are looking for. Therefore, our two brackets, we have x plus 2 and x minus 5. Okay? Right. I really hope you managed to understand that part. Can we move on now? Right, let's move on. The next one, you are going to apply difference of two squares. So let me explain difference of two squares before you go to that question. Or let me remind you about the difference of two squares. Maybe some of you missed the previous lesson. Okay? Difference of two squares is like this. Remember that x squared minus y squared. You see, x squared is a square. Y squared is a square. We are subtracting them. We're finding the difference. So this is the difference of two squares. If you are finding the difference of two squares, or if you are factorizing the difference of two squares, you will get these brackets. What is the square root of x squared? It is x. What is the square root of y squared? It is y. So you are using those square root, x and y. Very simple. You have your two brackets like this. The other bracket will have a minus. The other bracket will have a plus. Difference of two squares. And then you just put in your square root there. We say the square root of x squared is x. The square root of y squared is y. So you just put your x, your y. Your x, your y. You have factorized. This is how you factorize difference of two squares. Let me just put a number very fast. 9x squared minus 1. Even sometimes some people forget that 1 is a square number. 1 is a square number. 1 is a cube number. And then we have our two brackets, minus plus. What is the square root of 9x squared? Remember, 9 is a perfect square. Square root of 9 is 3. So what is the square root of 9x squared? It is 3x. So what is the square root of 1? It is 1. So you just write 3x, 1, 3x, 1. You have factorized. Okay? I want you to use what we have just discussed now to try this one. Please try. Even if it's hard, try. And then you will correct your work when I show you the answers. Okay? Let's try this one for 4 minutes. Right, welcome back. Welcome back, grade 10s. Let's continue with our lesson. Soshango Technical High, we are together. You can see that you are worried about factorization. Okay, thank you very much for your input. So what we're going to do, let's try to understand what we are learning now. We're not going to rush and go to addition and subtraction. If it means we end on what? Multiplication and division, will do that. Want you to understand what we are presenting here. Okay, so let's take our time, please. If you want me to re-explain something, don't hesitate. There's no need to rush without understanding. But what we have here, grade 10s, division of fractions. What did I say? There's a one free mark here. One free mark that you just get it. What we do? When you're dividing fractions, what you do? Keep and times. That is the mark. Just do that. And then it means this one, the 8 goes up. And then the x squared minus 2x plus 4 goes down. And then this changes to multiplication. And then you're getting your mark. You see that? Right. This is the mark. Right. Let's look at the things that we have to factorize. Let's start with this one. What did you get here after factorizing? Is 4 a square number? Yes, it is a square number because 4 is 2 squared. So it means x squared minus 4x, or x squared minus 4 is just the same as x squared minus 2 squared. Okay? So we have our two brackets, minus, plus. What is the square root of x squared? What is the square root of 2 squared, or the square root of 4? It's 2. Then we put x, put 2, put x, put 2. We have factorized this part. Okay? Did you get that correct? Perfect. Then we come here. Again, we go back to the factorization of the trinomial. Let's do this together. X squared minus 2x plus 4. Right. Plus 4. What clue do we get from that? We're looking at two factors that must give us positive 4. So it means here, the two factors must have the same sign. Because remember, negative times negative also gives you positive. Positive times positive gives you positive. So if this constant is positive, it means the two factors must have the same sign. Right. What are the factors? It can be what are the factors here? Okay, this one will give me problems. 4. What about negative 2 and negative 2? And this one won't be factorized. Okay, let me see. All right, negative 2 times negative 2, that is positive 4. And then negative 2 minus 2, that gives us negative 4. This one won't work. It can't factorize. I think there's a mistake here. Grade 10, there's a mistake. Let's see what the answer I have here. Right, let me see this. If we say x minus 2 times x minus 2, what do we get? Let's expand this. X times x is x squared. X times negative 2 is negative 2x. And then negative 2 times negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Then negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Right, there is a serious mistake here, grade 10s, but we do learn from the mistake sometimes. Do you know that? Okay, so let's change it. Let's change it just for the sake so that we can continue. Let's make this one 4x, negative 4x. Sorry for that. I really hope that is not going to confuse you. Let's make it negative 4x. Okay, let's make it negative 4x. Sorry for that. And then, now, how do we factorize x squared minus 4x plus 4? Let me go back. Let me start afresh. Right, this one, we talked about this. We said is x minus 2 x plus 2. Then we have changed this to negative 4x, okay? Right, so it becomes x squared minus 4x plus 4. We're saying, now this positive 4, it means that the two factors have the same sign. And then this negative 4 here, negative, confirms that yes, it's the same signs, but the signs are negative. So it means it should be negative, negative. So which factors of positive 4 can give us negative 4? It will be negative 2 and negative 2. Because negative 2 times negative 2 will give us positive 4. And then negative 2 will give us negative 4. Okay? Is it confusing? Right, so the two factors will be negative 2, negative 2. So our brackets will be x minus 2, x minus 2, which is this part here. You see that? Okay, which is a square binomial. The square binomial. For those who have done square binomials, you will recognize that. Okay? Right. And then what do we do after that? You say 2 into 2, 1, 2 into 8, 4. And then x minus 2 divided by x minus 2 is 1. Okay, remember, we don't use cancel, because sometimes when we say cancel, we think that we're getting 0. We're dividing x minus 2 divided by x minus 2, we're getting 1. Please don't forget that. And then what we remain with? We remain with 4 times x plus 2, and then over x minus 2. I really hope that this mistake did not confuse you. Okay, if it confused you, please send us a chat. Do send us a chat. Don't hesitate. Okay, can we continue? Right, let's continue. Right, difference and sum of two cubes. I want us to discuss this. Okay, maybe we can end by applying difference and sum of two cubes. Do you still remember how we deal with this? Right, let's say x cubed minus y cubed. How do we factorize difference of two cubes? It is easy, cretins. Very, very easy. Just remember these steps. I'll give you time to write your note. Remember these steps. You have your first bracket. Your first bracket. The first bracket is similar to this bracket, but it's only that we are using the cube root now. What is the cube root of x cubed? Cube root of x cubed, what is it? It's x, isn't it? Then what is the cube root of y? It's y, isn't it? So you have your bracket. I said it's similar because they have the same sign there. It's negative. Then you put your cube root for x cubed, which is x here, and then the cube root of y cubed, which is y, you put it there. That is your first bracket. If it's minus here, it is minus there. Let me do the difference and the sum at once. And then x cubed plus y cubed. Again, if it's plus, we're going to have your x, and then it's plus here, so we're going to have plus there. That is your first bracket, every time. And then the second bracket, you look at this bracket, the first bracket here. Okay? You square this term, the first term in the first bracket. You square it. You square it, it becomes x squared. And then here we have minus, isn't it? So it changes. From being minus, it becomes positive. Change it to positive. Okay, let's come to this one. You square the first term, and then here the sign is plus. The operation is plus. What is the opposite of plus? It's minus. So it changes and becomes minus. You see that? Okay, we'll do the steps simultaneously. Maybe that will assist us at the same time. Then the next step, multiply these vectors, this vector and this vector. You say x times y. So that is your xy there. Same thing here, multiply this and this, x times y, xy there. We're almost there. We're doing almost the last part. And then the last operation is always plus. The last operation is always plus. I'm checking my time, it's flying, right? It's plus here, it's plus there. You see that the last operation is always plus. I'm assuming we are revising this. And then the last term, you square this term. You square this term. So it becomes y squared and then y squared. This is how we factorize difference and sum of two cubes. Okay? Right, let me give you 1 minute just to write your short notes. 1 minute. Right, welcome back, Cretans. I want to give you one more example of the difference or sum of two cubes before we go to our question. So the question that we're going to do, I'm going to explain it because of time. Okay, I wanted to give you as an activity, but now I will have to explain it because of time. But let me just give you one more example because there is an input from someone, is Algebraic, I think, right? You don't understand this part of sum of two cubes and difference of two cubes. Let me just take this number. Let's say we have 27x cubed minus 1. Okay? What do we do? Find the cube root of 27. Let me just do it here. Find the cube root of 27x cubed. Okay, what is it? What is the cube root of 27? Is 3, isn't it? 3 cubed is 27. So it's 3, and then the cube root of x cubed is x. So the cube root of 27x cubed is 3x. 1 is a cube number, okay? So the cube root of 1 is 1. So these are the cube roots. So our first bracket, we take the operation, the minus there, and then we put the cube roots, the 3x and the 1. It's going to be 3x and 1. Okay? Then what we do next? We square 3x. What is 3x squared? It is 9x squared, isn't it? 9x squared, we write it here. And then the operation changes. It is minus here, now it should be plus. We put plus there. The operation changes now. And then the next step, you have to remember this step. Then the next step, you say 3x times 1. You multiply these terms in this bracket. 3x times 1. What is it? What is 3x times 1? It is 3x, isn't it? And then the last operation is always positive. It's always plus. So it's an operation. So the last operation is always plus. So you put plus there. Always. And then the last part, you square this term. The second term, you square it. What is 1 squared? It's 1. So you factorize the difference of two cubes. Just try to follow those steps. Maybe you can write them down. Okay? You can write them down. Maybe you can replay the video later and then write them down. Let's try to do in one activity, then we finish our lesson. Right. This is what we're supposed to do here. We have 8 is a cube number. 2 cubed is what? Is 8, isn't it? So we can say 2 cubed x cubed. What is the cube root of 8 cubed? Cube root of x of 8x cubed. What is it? What is the cube root? Let me write cube root. What is the cube root of 8x cubed? 8 is 2 cubed, remember? So what is the cube root of 8x cubed? This is 2x. And then 1 is a cube number also. What is the cube root of 1? Is 1. Okay? So what are you going to have in your brackets? What are you going to have in your brackets? We have 2x minus 1, which is this cube root. And then what did I say? Second bracket, the one with 3 terms. You square this. What is 2x squared? Is 4x squared. Do you see that? And then the operation changes from being minus to plus. This plus here. And then you multiply these 2 terms inside. Say 2x times 1. You get 2x. The last operation is always plus. Always plus. And then you square this number. 1 squared is 1. You see, you have factorized them. Okay? The first step, remember, that we did here was to tip and times. I forgot to tell you that. And then if you check now, what is the answer? This bracket and this bracket is the same thing. That gives us 1. Then 2x minus 1 divided by 2x minus 1, that is 1. And then we just remain with 3 over 1, which is equal to 3. Okay? Maybe the difference of 2 cubes, the sum of 2 cubes part there, may be still confusing. But remember, we have our lessons. Let's meet next week, grade 10s, and we're going to continue learning from each other. Okay? Enjoy the rest of your day, grade 10s. Goodbye.